Hello and welcome to another Tech Tuesday with me, David Smith, here at OM Digital Solutions. Hope you're all well. Thank you very much for joining me. Say hello in the comments. We are live streaming to YouTube, Get Olympus Facebook and Olympus UK Facebook today. So jump into the comments. I will try my very best to say hello. And anybody that notices anything that's going wrong, again, this is only the second time that I've done this particular type of live streaming. So please do let me know in the comments and I will try my very best to fix it. This evening, this morning, or this afternoon, depending on where you are in the world, we're going to be looking very briefly on the OI.Share app and the functionality within the OI.Share app, which is the Wi-Fi app that you can use on a mobile device to connect to your OMD cameras. So we'll have a little look very quickly on how to connect that up, and then we'll have a dig around in the settings and the functionality of that as well, and we'll hopefully answer some of your questions about that and the nuances that can be around using that app and the different types of devices, because of course there are lots of different mobile devices out there and each one of them kind of has its own little ways to do things. So the differences between Apple devices and Samsung and Galaxy and things like that, Android devices, they can all have kind of little tweaks. So we'll hopefully try and pick up on a few of those. I wanted to say hello to a few people first of all. So thank you all for joining me. Over on YouTube, we've got Marsha, Darren on Facebook. Hello, Darren Bass, good to see you. We've got Pete from the Netherlands. Gigi, yes, we're really live. We're absolutely live. We're ready to rock and roll. Unless, of course, you're watching this tomorrow and then we're not live. So there's a bit of a paradox going on there. We've got Steve Hewitt. Good evening. Colleen from Minneapolis. Hello, Chris. Chris Holditch is in as well. Hello, Chris. Good to see you, my friend. Dennis Foreman. Lots and lots of people. I do apologize as well if I don't say hello to everybody. I am, of course, saying hello in my head as I see your names pop up from there. So what's really important about these Tech Tuesday sessions, if you've never been before, is that we welcome everybody and we welcome all of your questions as well. I'm a technical specialist and I will try my very best to answer all of those questions as accurately as possible. But of course, I am only human. So now and again, I do get it wrong, but I can't remember the last time I did, but there are people out there that will definitely jump in and point it out when I do get it wrong. So pop all your questions into the feed here tonight. Now, what I'm hoping to do is to show you how the app works. I'm going to do this on my my iPad, and I've got a camera sort of over there somewhere, which is an EM1 Mark III. I've got an EM5 Mark II here that's going to film the iPad. It's all a bit strange, really, because normally I use a camera up here. But this particular camera isn't going to work for this demonstration. So I've got things spaced out. Now, what that means is that there is a very slim possibility that you'll hear me tripping over things in my little small studio space. So I do apologize for that, but I'm going to try and be as professional as possible whilst we do this. So what I am going to do is I am going to cross over. I'm going to pop this camera in here. There we go. So you should be able to see that. Oops, you won't see much at the moment, so I need to wake up my iPad. So what I'm actually going to do is we're going to go to, let's pop in this camera here. And I'm just going to lean over really, really quickly. And this is the thing about these devices now, is that I need to Face ID this one. So let's wake it up a little bit. It didn't like it, so everybody in the world gets to see my PIN number. I'll be changing that rather rapidly afterwards. So hopefully you'll be able to see what's going on here. Now, what I want to do is just make that one my main picture so you can see it big. So we're going to go through some of these. You'll see me just kind of tapping on the screen here every now and again just to keep it awake as well. But we'll go through some of the sort of functionality, including the settings as well on the app up here. But what I first wanted to show you is how to start up your camera in terms of Wi-Fi. And it's slightly different on a couple of models. So I just want to show you how to do it. So you need to obviously have your cameras switched on. Now, if I just swap this over, we'll put that into the side there. There we go. If you've got a model previous to an EM1 Mark III, any model that's not an EM1 Mark III and EM1X, then it's very simple. You'll have a little Wi-Fi icon in the top corner of the screen. I'm going to bring this up here, and that will focus in. And you can see there in the top kind of left-hand corner of the screen, as we look at it here, you'll see the Wi-Fi icon. And all you need to do is tap on that. Now, if you've not got an EM1 Mark III or an EM1X, then what you'll get then is this little image here that says Wi-Fi starting, and then it'll present you with a private connection page with a QR code on it. It's nice and simple. That QR code, there we go. That QR code is what's going to help us connect to the iPad. Oops, not that part there. Let's just come away from that. There we go. This is the problem with working on your own in a studio. I quite often wish that I had somebody here with me to help me do all these bits and pieces and be the person that leans in there. Now, if you've got an EM1 Extra and EM1 Mark III, those cameras have extended functionality in terms of Wi-Fi. And what that means is basically you can connect via Wi-Fi to the app on a mobile device, or you can actually Wi-Fi tether to a computer or laptop as well. So when you do switch that machine on and you tap the Wi-Fi icon in the top left-hand corner of the screen, what you're going to see is this here, which gives you the choice for either device connection or access point connection. Now, access point connection is what you'll use if you're going to Wi-Fi tether to your computer or laptop. That's completely different, and that goes through Olympus Capture software. But device connection is the one that's then going to present you with that lovely QR code on the back there. Now, when you've done that, I'm going to do it on my EM1X just here. Once you've done that, you may see the QR code on a white page, or you may actually just see a white page that says connect to a smartphone, okay, or connected to a device. It's just a very blank page, just like this. Now, unless you're using the remote shutter functionality in the app, that white screen will always be there. So a lot of people sort of question and say, you know, it's still saying, it's asking me to connect to a device even though I am connected. That's perfectly normal. So I'm just keeping my iPad alive there. So once you've got to that stage, there is an option within the app, which I'll bring over now. There we go. And that option within the app here, if you press down at this tab at the bottom, oops, there we go. It says Easy Setup. And if you tap Easy Setup, it'll present you with some options on screen whereby you can scan that QR code in. And that helps the camera and your phone or your iPad talk to each other. Now, I'm not going to do that tonight because I've already scanned in the camera, which is actually over there, miles on the other side of my huge 3-meter studio. It's literally just over there. But I've already scanned that in, and it's an EM1 Mark III. And I've done that because there is some extended functionality on the EM1 Mark III via the app. So once you've done all that business, what you need to do is, and I'm actually going to pull this into, I'm going to take me away here and pop that up just there. There we go. So, because I'm now going to be walking around the studio to make things work a little bit. So let me go over and wake up my EM1 Mark III just by giving a little wake up. And I'm going to tap the Wi-Fi icon and set it running so that it's now active as a Wi-Fi network. And what that means is the camera has just become initially basically an SSID. It's become a network point that the iPad can connect to. Now, if you're at home or in an office using this and your device, so your iPad, let me just turn this around a little bit, your iPad or your phone already knows the local network that it usually uses to connect to the internet, then it's going to favor connecting that, okay? Even if your camera's Wi-Fi is switched on, it's going to favor connecting to the internet, and that's just the way that these devices are designed. So what you might need to do is come away from your app and go into your settings on your device, find your Wi-Fi connection, and in that list, you'll then need to find, let me just sharpen that up a little bit for you, the product that you're using. So let me just turn off my other products, and I'm actually connecting to the EM1 Mark III, which is just there. And because I've scanned that in previously, I should just be able to tap it and get my blue tick to say, absolutely, there we are, we're connected. And then I can go back to the OI.Share app, and at which stage you'll see that bottom tab will have turned partially blue. So in this case, I've got the Wi-Fi icon and the camera icon in blue to say that they are connected. Now, there is a Bluetooth icon in there, and you don't need to worry about that icon when you're using it directly through the app, because Bluetooth is only used to wake up the camera to do instant transfers. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on. Okay, so we're going to try and do this so that my hands don't get in the way as much as possible. First things first, let's have a little navigate around the app. So let's have a little look over here in the top corner. We've got some options in those three little lines there. Now, these options are pretty standard. It's about product registration. You can see an Olympus Pro gallery. There's product information and instruction manuals, news, and of course, the social media feeds. Now, bear in mind that if your device doesn't have a cell signal, a cell data signal, like a mobile SIM card, then pressing any one of these isn't going to go anywhere because the Wi-Fi is currently connected to the camera, so you'll have no internet connection. But if the device, if it's like a phone and you have a SIM card in there as well, then it will use the phone's data connection to then seek out any of these links that you press in here. So let's come back from that. That's nice and simple in there. It's a little bit of marketing. Now over here, we've obviously got the help icon, which you can touch. Oops, let's just cancel that. The help icon, which you can touch, and then the cog. And as in the camera, the cog will take us to the settings. So let's just tap on settings here. Now, the reason why I connected to an EM1 Mark III is because there is further options with an EM1 Mark III when connected to the app, and they are all contained within the camera management section. So if I tap camera management, we get some options here. First of all, we can see which registered camera we've got connected. So if I tap the information, it tells me that I've got an EM1 Mark III, it tells me the Bluetooth name and the Wi-Fi SSID, and I can remove that from the registered information on the app. Now, if you've got more than one camera and one of them is an EM1 Mark III, but the other one isn't, I always recommend having the EM1 Mark III as the registered camera, because you can always add the second or third cameras in using the old-fashioned way of just going through your device's Wi-Fi settings and adding it as a network. But scanning in a camera is best saved for the EM1 Mark III. So let's just come back out of there. And then the next option here is update firmware. And this is a really kind of incredible groundbreaking thing for this. It means you don't have to connect to your computer to update the firmware on your EM1 Mark III. You can do this through your mobile phone or iPad, again, providing it's got a SIM card with a cell data network connection. So it'll tell us what model we're running, what the version is that we're running, and what the version of the lens is we're running. It doesn't say what lens, but we can hit check for update. And of course, it's not going to do that because this iPad doesn't have a SIM card. But if you did, it will then go and connect to our servers and show you what's available for your EM1 Mark III. Let's just go back a second and check out what else we've got in terms of camera management. We've got the camera settings option, which is brilliant. So if we tap on the camera settings options, we can save settings from camera and we can load settings from camera. Okay, so what you'll see here is that the top option says save settings from camera. If I tap this, it's then going to ask me which settings that are on the camera do I want to save. So latest setting means whatever mode it's in, so M, P, A, S, and whatever settings are assigned to that mode currently. And then you've got your custom mode C1 to 4. Now, with all those ticked, I can save all of those, reload them at a different date. Or I can individually tick different ones that I want to have in there. If I go back, I've got two groups of settings here that I've already saved from a different camera in the past. So I've got a nice date and time telling me that I saved some bird settings. And it was a C3 setting that I had it on. And then I also had starry sky on C4 as well. So these are great. So if I tap bird settings here, there's notes section if I wanted to make some notes on it. But the important one down here is load to camera. And if I tap load to camera, I can then choose where I want to put my bird settings on the C1, 2, 3, or 4. So let's apply them to C1. And it's going to talk to the camera and it's going to put those settings all over. And that's it. Very quickly, the camera has taken on board those settings. Now, one of the big things you need to remember when this is happening is that once that's done, the camera is going to reset itself, okay? So right now, I'm over here, coming back to the camera, starting up the Wi-Fi again, because it's reset itself to apply those custom settings. So you do need to be aware that that's going to happen. Camera's Wi-Fi is connected. Let's just go back to the main screen and click done. Because I'm at home and the iPad automatically wants to grab my internet, I'm just going to go back to my Wi-Fi settings and then select my camera, which it will grab very quickly, and then come back into the app, whereby it will say it's on. So it's all very, very smooth. Now, before I carry on, I'm just going to bring this out of here. Let's come back to this one. There we go. I'll swap this over. It may not be that smooth for you. Lots of different devices have got little nuances in how they need to work. So if you do struggle to get any of this kind of efficient use and workflow going, then it's very important that you reach out to whoever is in your region helping for Olympus. So obviously you've got the Americas, Europe, UK, all the places around the world. You can reach out to one of us and we can definitely help you do that. And I'm still doing virtual one-to-ones via Zoom, and a lot of those one-to-ones are based on getting the app to work on specific devices. In fact, I had 2 today that were all about that. So if you are having problems, don't suffer in silence. You can reach out to us, send us a message, or even, you know, UK-based one-to-one, and other regions are also offering similar things as well. So let's go back to our screen. Oops, there we go. And have a little look at some other stuff in there. Oh, actually, do you know what I'm going to do? Before we carry on, let me have a look at some of the questions just to see what's in the comments here. Lots of people saying hello, so it's really good to see a lot of you in there. I'm just going to try and scan through for some of these questions as well. Obviously, bear with me because I haven't got anybody pointing them out for me. Steve Hewitt. It's not a related question to OI.Share, but Steve's having trouble with a cover for the card slot on M5 Mark II and that it's difficult to open. Is there a quick fix? You know, Steve, it's very difficult to say why it's difficult to open. It shouldn't be difficult to open. But of course, Steve, if you want to get one of us to look at it or get it in for repair and diagnostics, get in touch, or you probably already know how to do that. But Steve, reach out to myself actually here in the UK and we'll talk more about that and we'll see if we can deal with it for you. Paul, hello in Cardiff. Teddy from Colombia. Dave in Montreal. Good to see you all. And of course, we've got the rest of the team at Olympus UK and Get Olympus that are in there as well. Let's have a look on here. We've got Kishti Sharma, I hope I pronounced that properly for you, is asking, can we connect 2 cameras with OI.Share? You can only connect 1 at a time. So I'm just going to keep this away so I don't need to put my PIN number in again. That everybody knows now anyway. You can only connect 1 at a time. So you can't have multiple cameras linked at the same time, but you can have multiple cameras remembered in the system, and it's purely just adding them in as Wi-Fi networks as you would do with any other router or network. So you can have all those on. Bob's off. Bob's gone. Bob's left. He needs to catch the recording. See you later, Bob. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for dropping in. Edward's saying there's no sound. Turn the volume up. That'd be a good idea. It should be okay. I think everyone else is hearing it fine. I would have had one of the colleagues shouting or waving at me by now if it hadn't been absolutely fine. Let's have a little look. Quite a few comments about people saying hello. Olympus UK have put in a link to the virtual one-to-ones in the comments just there. So if you want to do one in the UK, you can do a click there. And Richard's saying that I did a one-to-one with him. I did do a one-to-one with you, Richard. It was awesome. It was awesome for me as well. I'm glad that we've doubled awesome on that one. Thank you very much. Rambling Tog, thanks for joining, has a question saying, I have an EM1 Mark III and it's so frustrating that Olympus did not put the GPS tagging in the camera. That's right, GPS tagging is an EM1X only, but the I'm not going to read that other bit that Rambling Tog has put. OI.Share app is a pain. It's only a pain if it's not working properly, and if it's not working properly, then there's probably a solution for it. So you can always reach out. As you can see here, it's very, very smooth, or it should be very, very smooth. And even so, I have more success with it on Android devices, but this is OI.Share. This is iOS, and it's working very, very well for me. But if you are having problems, don't suffer in silence. Just get in touch. And of course, if you want to do GPS tagging, you can have synchronization through your phone's GPS on the OI Track app as well. Okay, let's wake this one up. Let's go back in and see what's happening. So we were in the menus here, we're in the settings, we're in the camera management, and we had a little look at the camera settings where we could apply all of those. Set date and time automatically, very important to tag that, particularly if you are going to be doing GPS stuff. Okay, so very important to click set date time automatically in there. Let's go back. We've got 3 other options now in these settings. We've got remote control, import photos, and geotag log list. Now, the geotag log list we're not going to look at because that's used in conjunction with the OI Track app, which is a separate app that helps you to link up your GPS coordinates with your photographs. So we're not going to look at that one today. We are going to, however, go into remote control and have a quick look at the options in there. Now, the top option is mode. And what that is saying is when you click remote control from the main page of the app, does it take you to live view, take you to remote shutter, oops, Or does it ask you to select which one you want at the time? And I think select is always a really good one, because it means that whatever you're doing, you can choose whether you want live view or remote shutter. Now you've got some options for live view. So let's look at the live view options. Top option here is rec view. This is the recorded preview. So does it show you a quick preview of what you've just taken a photograph of when you've taken it? Some people don't like that. So at the moment that's set to never, but of course you can have a timed preview or a continual preview if you want, that will stay there until you take it away. I prefer never, because it means I can carry on shooting without interruptions. We can look at the live view quality. Excuse me. So the quality of the view that we've got, is it based on the speed? So are we seeing a good speed, a good catch-up speed? So when things are moving around in front of the camera, is it keeping up? Or do we want image quality priority? Again, this is a very personal thing, depending on your workflow. You've got your timers, so whether or not you want to display a count indicator for the self timer that's involved, whether or not you want a voice to tell you when the timer's going to go off. And if you do choose that, you can record your own voice that will speak when the time is going to go off. So everybody smile. That's the one that I recorded earlier. I'm not sure if you picked that up, but it's me saying everybody smile, and that's what will be announced just before the self timer goes off, and you can record up to 3 of those different ones. So quite handy in there. You can change the length of time for sequential shooting. You can change whether or not you have clips oh, excuse me, for video recording. And you can change the interval options as well. So you've got number of times for interval from 1 to 10 in single, sequential, or video mode. And then the interval time, the period of time between those shots, 0.5 through to 3 in single, sequential, and video mode as well. So lots and lots of different options that you can customize in remote control. Now that's for your live view. If you go to remote shutter, there are very few options. It doesn't really need to be a lot of options in here. Bear in mind as well that what you see on some of these screens will vary ever so slightly between Android and iOS devices. Okay, so ever so slight variance, but they should be around about the same or thereabouts. So the 3 options that we've got in remote control. Remote control is when the camera is live, we can operate the camera, but the device here turns into a shutter button, basically a cable release without the cable. So we want the option for halfway release. Halfway release is an important option because it's the only way you can use Pro Capture through the app. So if you want to use Pro Capture, that magnificent time machine feature that we've got for sports and wildlife, or things that are going to happen, you need to have halfway release on, and I'll show you why in a second. The sound, obviously, is it going to make a beep? Do you want it to make a beep? It is quite a loud beep, so it's good to be aware that it's going to be a huge beep. Do you want it on or off? I'm going to leave it on just so that you can almost kind of experience that. And then night display will change all of this into a black and red display, which you can dim or brighten as you wish so that you don't get any stray light from your display. So we'll actually turn that on as well. And those are our options for remote control. So let's now go back from those and go back to settings. So our next option down will be import photos. If we click on import photos, there's a few options in there that we can play around with. By default, they're pretty good, but you might want to change them to your own personal workflow. Your first one is resizing. So do you want the images resized when you import them to your device? You can say no, or you can say yes. So look, if you're doing it for Facebook, you can resize to the 2048 option, or you've got 1920, 1600, 1024. I always go with no resizing, because if I'm going to do anything to upload to social media, I've probably done it through my computer rather than the app. And of course, you've got video resizing as well. Back we go, and we've got thumbnail size. This is the thumbnails that we see within the app. It's set to large. Maintain thumbnail aspect ratio. If that's ticked, then the aspect ratio will be shown in the thumbnails. And if it's unticked, each thumbnail will appear as sort of a 1:1 box crop. Excuse me a moment, guys, while I just have a little drink. Otherwise, I'll end up coughing and spluttering all over my microphone, and that's not nice for any of you. So the next option we've got down is display the video. Obviously, if you've got any videos on your memory card in your camera, you want to see those in the import screen. So that's display video. Show raw images. This is very important. If your device supports RAW, have that ticked, and then they will show in there as well, supported by the RAW word on the image. Some important ones that people forget about is this display imported images one. So if you've ticked display imported images, it means that any previously imported images on that memory card will be shown. If it's unticked and you've imported some images yesterday and then go to import more today, the ones that you imported yesterday are not visible. They're not shown to you. So it's really important to remember that one. The option to share a photo without geotag, you can tick or untick that one, and include videos in automatic import if you've chosen to automatically import on turn on, which you can do from the camera. Those are your import settings. A lot of the other stuff is just information, and we're not going to go into geotag log list today. So I'm just going to go back to the main screen. And before we start to look at what else is on that main screen, I'm going to come back to this here. Let's have a quick look in the comments and see if anything's come up of any urgency. Let's see what we've got in here. Mark Spearman's asked a question saying you experienced a problem when using a third-party aftermarket cable, or if the cable was not completely inserted. I think what you're referring to is firmware updates. Yeah, to be absolutely certain and clarify, if you're going to do your firmware updates, we only recommend using the original cable that came with your camera in terms of it being fully supported and not having any problems. So do try and use the original cable. Third-party cables may or may not work properly, and obviously you've got to be careful about that kind of thing. Chris has asked, can we import ORF files yet using the automatic import with share order? Yes, you can. Yeah, as long as your device supports the RAW option, then you'll be able to import those. Let's have a look. Simon's giving me compliments. I'm not going to read out. Simon Tor, thank you very much for your compliments. That's amazing. Let's see what else is in there that we've got. And then a little bit of chatter, which I'm sort of letting you look into that one, because it looks like you're chatting between yourself, which is fantastic. Keep the community alive. Right, let's have a quick look. Let's go back to our main screen, and I'm going to get up and do a little bit of walking around. My camera is still awake because I can see here at the bottom it's still connected, so the little blue icons are telling me that it's connected. So let's go ahead and hit remote control. Okay, so remote control, and then because I chose the select option, it's now asking me, do I want live view or do I want remote shutter? I'm quickly going to show you remote shutter because it's a very simple screen. We've got the night mode switched on, so we're seeing it in red. And then there's a slider at the top here. If I touch that and slide down, you'll see there that my screen dims to my own kind of level that I want it to, which is really handy for that kind of nighttime shooting. And here's your halfway button. And if you hit the halfway button, you hear that little beep. Obviously, you can turn the sound off if you don't want that on. Touching this once replicates a halfway press on your shutter button and holds it there. So this is perfect for pro capture, and then a tap will then release that pro capture, but it maintains halfway, so it's keeping you in pro capture all the time, and then tap it to release it. And of course, if you need to do a long exposure with bulb or live time, you can pull down the lock, tap, and then when you think your image is done, slide upwards to release it. The narrowband channel, yes, the red is perfect for Astro because it's keeping things really unintrusive. It's just not getting in the way of anything. So it's a really, really good mode. And of course, if you switch this off, I'll show you the other option as well. Let's go home, go into the options, quickly into remote control, into remote shutter. And if I turn night display off and go back into it in remote control and remote shutter, we now see a nice gray image. So it is a huge, huge difference using that night display. Right, let's this time hit remote control and we'll go into live view. So let's tap that live view. Hopefully nothing will go wrong. And we can wake the camera up. Well, there he is, my best buddy. That's Chewbacca, the little bobblehead. He's appeared in quite a lot of the videos that we've been doing over the last year or so. And he's just going to be the model for today. He's just going to sit there and look pretty, which he always does. Now then, you'll see a few things around the screen. We've got a home icon here that will take us home. Some devices have a back arrow as part of the phone. You'll press that to go back. And then at the top here, we've got some information. So it's telling me that the camera's in single autofocus. It's telling me how many images are left to be written to the memory card. And then where the A is, I can tap that and I can choose my mode: program, aperture, shutter, manual, bulb, or video mode. So let's pop it into full manual by pressing the M. Right, we're now in full manual, which means I've got complete control over everything exposure-wise at the bottom here. I've got my shutter speed, my aperture. This is my exposure compensation / meter, telling me where I am. It's obviously just a meter in manual mode. My ISO, which is flashing away at 6400 because it's dark in here, and my white balance. So let's see if we can even this out. I'll tap the shutter, and I can slide, wake it up, I can slide across to get a longer shutter speed. And we can make that nice and bright, go even brighter, a 2-second shot. And now you'll see that my ISO is flashing on the low because it's saying that actually you can't take this shot. It's going to be way too bright because I can't go any lower on the ISO. So we'll even that out. So let's bring this back to a more reasonable shutter speed. 1/10 of a second, that's fine. It is very, very dark over there. There's no ambient light in that corner of the room whatsoever. So I've got complete control over this, and this is a live view as well. So just to prove that, I'm obviously going to go across here. I'm going to wave, there we go, wave my hand in front of Chewy, and you can see that's completely live. Now, if we look on the right-hand grey bar of this screen, we've got two icons at the top. The top one here is our drive mode, so we can select a single silent, high-speed burst, low-speed burst, or we can go for the custom timer or an interval shot. Let's keep it on a single. And then the next option down is my focusing option. Now this, at the moment, this icon represents me touching the screen anywhere, and that's where it will focus, but it will focus only. So let me tap in different places, and this is where it's going to focus, okay? If I was to tap that twice to get this icon here, which is 2 bars and a little finger pressing it, wherever I now touch on this screen to focus, it's going to focus and shoot at the same time. So let's take the shot there. Taking a shot quite nicely. Let's take a shot over here. Let's focus on his little laser crossbow. So that's basically touch and shoot immediately, and it'll change depending on what you're wanting to do, whether or not you want touch to focus or touch to shoot immediately. And of course, if you're using touch to focus, you're just giving the camera a place to focus, and then you can use this shutter button here to take the shot. And of course, at the moment, we've got the rec view off, so we're not seeing a preview every time we take a picture. And I can tap the icon at the bottom with the play symbol on it, and then I can go into my folder, and I can see the last picture taken, and I can have a little zoom in, a little pan around, see if that's any good. Then I can either go back to shooting with this little camera icon at the bottom. I can find the information, which will bring up some of the EXIF for me, or I can indeed hit the import button to either import it to my device or share. Now, what I can also do is go ahead and hit the 100 Olymp word there, which is the directory, and it will bring me back to everything that's on my memory card. Now, I shot some stuff the other day out in the woods, so they've been left on there just to show you that those shots that I took were in RAW. Oops, so you can see the words RAW up at the top there. So it's showing me those RAW files that are in there because my device supports RAW. Now I can either tick all by date, oops, by tapping on that corner icon there, or I can select all and drag the whole lot in as well, just down there, or individual ones as you wish. So it's a really, really nice flexible import system that you can use. Tapping the camera icon will take you back to the live view, and tapping home will take you back to the main menu. Now, of course, we've just looked in the import photos section. That's exactly where we were for that one. You've got camera how-tos, which will give you the instructions and manual how-tos on how to control the different models. Again, of course, you will need to be connected to a cell signal for that, or your Wi-Fi signal when not connected to the camera. And then the two options at the bottom relate directly to secondary apps. So edit photo is through OI Palette, which is a downloadable app that you can have as well, and it adds in things like our filters and stuff like that. And you've got the OI Track, which is where you can add geotags, and we've done some different videos on how to do geotagging on the OI Track as well. But if you do struggle, then obviously just reach out to one of us and we will be able to help you. Okay, let's have a look. We're doing very well for time. I'm going to go ahead and bring this back here. Oh, actually, let's do it this way. I'll leave that just up at the side there so that people can see it. I'm just going to have a little bit of more of a look into the comments and see what's going on. Hi Lila, stopped by. We'll tune in later. Thanks Lila. Good. Thanks for dropping in. Narrowband said that you are having trouble getting your EM1X to connect. Reach out to us. We can do this in steps individually with all the millions of people around the world. I've probably set myself up for something there, haven't I? Okay, what else have we got? So Stafford Fields has asked, do you have to have an existing wireless network? Can you just hook up the camera and device out in the field? You could be in the middle of the Antarctic with no networks around you and connect camera to device, providing you're within the operating parameters for temperature. But yeah, you don't need to be connected to anything else out in the field, in the middle of nowhere. You can connect directly. The camera acts as a Wi-Fi hub and your device connects to it. PD 1963 had some issue. What's that? You had some issues going into the save mode on your Mac to fix it. Several items on the internet concerning the issue. If you have many problems, the best thing to do is come to us, get it from the horse's mouth. There are tons and tons of very helpful articles and things written by many people online. Superb. The value of the internet is incredible. But also you'll see many different ways to fix a similar problem. If we've got a solution for it, we'll give it to you. So just come to us. Susie Crow's in. Hey, Susie, good to see you. Susie loves using ProCapture and says it saved her in the height of summer, so you didn't have to sit in 90-degree blazing sun to photograph the dragonflies. You got it. That's it. That's the way to do it. Okay, so tons of great comments, and obviously I can't answer them all live, but I will do my very best to drop into the different social media platforms and have a quick look at them and see if I can answer them. It's good to see the team at Olympus UK fanning over Chewbacca. He's back. He's like a winter thing, Chewbacca. He does come back. He's going to make an appearance again, actually, because I'll be doing a very, very special Tech Tuesday in a couple of weeks. So keep your eyes open for that. Chewbacca is going to be coming back in as well. He might bring some friends, who knows? But we will bring him back as well. Let's have a look what else we've got in there. Just very quickly before I go, Chris has asked, can you have two cameras linked to the app? Yes, but not at the same time. So you can have them both aware, but not linked up at the same time. Can you do the firmware update on Android? You've always been able to do the firmware update on Android and iOS, but only for the EM1 Mark III. That's the only model that supports that at the moment. Alessandro has asked, you're not sure if it's already supported, but it would be nice to be able to export RAW pics to Lightroom Mobile. Hey, if your mobile device supports RAW, you can send the RAWs from your device, and if you've got Lightroom Mobile in there, it should work, Alessandro. Phil Flash Jones, what an amazing name. I love that, Phil Flash. What's the maximum distance between the camera and the phone for Wi-Fi outdoors, and does the half press option time out with ProCapture? No, the half press option doesn't time out. The only time it will time out is if your battery's depleted completely and it all shuts down. And I've managed to do about 45 to 50 feet distance from camera to device with still keeping up with a reasonable response rate on the live view. Okay. Everybody that's come to watch today, thank you so much for joining in. We are hoping to present you with these Tech Tuesdays every couple of weeks because we want to give you all these snippets of information, but we are going to carry on supporting you in between that as well. So make sure that you are reaching out to those people in your region because we can help you. Our community is the most important thing to us. So let us know if you need any help. Do not suffer in silence. There is a solution to pretty much everything. But for now, I'm going to say thank you, and I'm going to present you with a little thank you video before I say goodbye. So stay in touch, keep your comments coming in, and I'll see you on the next one.